Jonathan O'Brien.
And I'm sharing time with both my colleagues. Last King Pearl, I'll take about 10 minutes and I think they can split the rest in between them. Minister, we also would like to welcome the bill which we are debating here before us tonight. As you are aware, Minister, I've tabled a number of questions to you over the last 12 months around your own particular timeline for publication of legislation which will enable us to ratify the UN Convention. And you kind of put a very, I suppose, tight timeline on yourself, Minister, last year when you said that you would publish the bill before the end of 2016. Well, you've slipped by a couple of weeks and probably a couple of heads as well, going by the legislation before us. It's certainly a good day, Minister, but it's not a great day, unfortunately. I have to be honest with you in relation to that. One of the concerns that I have, Minister, is that you have indicated you're going to bring forward a raft of amendments at committee stage to address some of the heads which were contained in the general scheme of the bill, which were not contained in the actual bill which was published. Now, the question I would ask, Minister, is when are we going to have the committee stage of the bill? I would suspect that the second stage debate will conclude very quickly. Because everyone wants to move forward with this, everyone wants to see full ratification. And on that particular issue, Minister, there are some doubts whether we will actually see the full ratification, because it's my understanding there is a number of reservations going to be put in by the government, and we can deal with them at a later stage. But just on the committee stage, one would have to suspect that we're not going to see the committee stage in the very short term. Because if we were going to see the committee stage in the short term, then I'm sure that, despite your own timelines, Minister, you would have preferred to hold off on debating this and publishing the bill before us tonight, finalising the amendments you were going to bring before committee stage, and actually getting those into the bill itself. So we could all be talking about what should be done, what needs to be done, because unfortunately, so far the debate is about what's not in the bill as opposed to what is in the bill. The previous speakers spoke about the issues which we need to address, Minister, and a couple of the concerns I have, and I would echo what Deputy Chambers has said in relation to a lot of the groups and the NGOs in this field who feel that they haven't been consulted enough. I know, Minister, you talk to those groups very regularly. I talk to lots of people every day, but that's not the same as consulting them. So, you know, saying that you talk to them is one thing, but actually bringing them in around the table as equals and consulting them in relation to this legislation, some of those groups have expressed reservations that they haven't been fully listened to and their concerns taken on board in relation to that, Minister, and that's something that we need to look at. And I would take up Margaret's point in relation to the committee stage, that if we are publishing amendments, you know, because of the way the legislative process works in here, those groups are not going to have an opportunity to come in before the Justice Committee, who is the committee who is going to deal with these amendments at committee stage, and actually give their viewpoint on it. Now, if that can happen, excellent, Minister. And I would also remind you, Minister, that Article 33(3) of the Convention outlines how people with lived experience of disability will be facilitated in their role of monitoring and implementation of the Convention within this state. And I think you need to outline how that is going to be addressed, Minister. The issues of deprivation of liberty are not going to be addressed at committee stage. And Minister, you know as well as I, that is one of the core aspects which needs to be included in order for this state to comply with the UN CRPD. And the fact that it's not included at this stage of the process and is only going to be included at committee stage is a mistake in my opinion. Article 14b of the UN CRPD clearly states that persons with disabilities should not be deprived of liberty unlawfully or arbitrarily, and that any deprivation of liberty is in conformity with the law. and that the existence of a disability shall in no case justify a deprivation of liberty. Now, Minister, that has to be put into a statutory provision. I know it's your intention to do so, but we haven't seen how that's going to happen, and I would encourage you to publish the amendments as quickly as possible. And I would ask, Minister, when you're concluding and you're wrapping up the second stage debate, you will outline the time frame for taking committee stage and the publication of those amendments. It deals with jury services and the electoral acts, and the expansion of the reasonable accommodation are all to be welcomed, Minister. And it does give an opportunity to include persons with a disability in a meaningful way in the advisory committee to the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission in monitoring capacity, which has also not been included in the bill, and something that needs to be addressed at committee stage. Just two further points, Minister, and it's something that Jack has touched on, Deputy Chambers has touched on. It's in relation to recent remarks made by the UN Office of the High Commissioner on Human Rights, who said that the focal point on the Convention should be close to the heart of the government, such as in the office of the President or the Prime Minister, Taoiseach, or the Cabinet Office. Now, I understand we have a super junior ministry in yourself, Minister, but some would argue that the Equality Division within the Department of Justice is too narrow and too siloed, and it would be a better position to come under the Department of the Taoiseach. Now, I remain open to the argument in relation to that. But Deputy Chambers did touch on the cross-departmental collaboration which is going to be needed, and the leadership at a cabinet level. Now, if it did come under the Department of the Taoiseach, you probably put yourself out of a job, Minister. So I'm not suggesting you do that, but I'm suggesting you at least look at what the UN Office of High Commissioner has said in relation to that, because no doubt the equality section within the Department of Justice is not going to be sufficient to ensure full ratification. Just in relation, the final point is the long-term prospects for disabled people and their human rights and the ways in which they can participate in a democratic process. We need to look at all of that, Minister, in the round, and that's why I would welcome the publication of the amendments as quickly as possible. Because without those amendments, yes, we will support what's in front of us today, but the question needs to be asked, Minister, when are we going to see the full ratification? Because that's what people want to know. And we cannot see the full ratification based on this bill alone. Now, if you are talking about just amendments, then I would ask you to outline the time frame. If we are looking at a second piece of legislation, like a number 2 bill, what exactly is the roadmap in relation to your own role in this, Minister? And I think people deserve an answer on that tonight.